loud, that's too loud. That's too loud. Volume here, volume here.
A bit. I'm not a psychologist. PhD level therapist.
Got you. Volume's too loud. Alright, now start bringing it down slowly. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, and then Rick Kuhlman.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Freedom Truth Radio Show live right here on Facebook Live, YouNow, and TalkShoe, and HamiltonRadio.net. Thank you for tuning in. This is your one and only host, the Vincent Scott. Tonight is a very special night. We got some good friends of mine, Dr. Titus McMillan and his lovely wife. I'm going to introduce her to she's a nutritionist. Dr. Titus McMillan is a PhD level therapist, and he and his wife deal both in holistic health. And we're going to talk about some things, get you guys ready, conscious health wise, for the holidays, because you know those holidays are coming up, and everybody wants to go to grandma's house and rack up on the bread pudding and the carbs and the mac and cheese and the sweet potato pie and you know, those things are nice and they taste good, but you know, we want you to be a little bit more health conscious as we approach this holiday season. Just before I introduce the one of them, I just want to give a couple updates to what's going on here with the show. It's been a great show for the past 5 weeks. And we have a lot of guests lined up to close out the rest of this year. And then coming in 2018, we have some great guests coming on that are going to, you know, either be live or on the phone as we interview them. And we're going to talk about everything. We're talking about religion. We're talking about health. We're going to talk about expanding your wealth and the finance industry, about what you need to do to get your money ready as the dollar is getting ready to crash. Keep saying that because it's inevitable and it's going to happen. One thing in local news, I want to talk about, maybe put out a warning to some people that the Ewing ShopRite, for those of you who are familiar with the area, Ewing Township, New Jersey, Ewing ShopRite has facial recognition cameras installed. Now, when you walk in, the whole point of this is if you have warrants, outstanding warrants or anything like that, they are looking to pinpoint your face and possibly bring you in because there is a police officer on duty there all the time. So hopefully no one is in that type of situation. And I don't know really what the whole motive is. Well, I do know what the whole motive is behind it, because we're entering into a time and season of martial law. People, you have to be aware of what's going on. And this is not the, you know, when I grew up, we had a guy named Officer Friendly. He used to go around to all the schools and make the children know the duties of the police officer, and he made us comfortable to know that he's there to serve and protect the citizens of the state or that area. And it made us know that the police officer was supposed to be the hero. But now it's taken on a different turn. We're entering into a time of martial law where they are completely going to control everything that you do. They are training military police that are going to patrol the streets, the common areas of our neighborhoods. And it's not going to be, everything you're seeing in the movies is getting ready to come to pass. It's like pre-planned activity. So it would behoove you now in this time to read as much as possible, take a break from the reality shows, look at what's going on in your world, learn about law. Get yourself a Black's Law dictionary. Find out what's going on. Find out what the language of legalese is. Because when they use certain words in the court system or in the legal system, you think that there's just regular English words. They're not. They are interpreted as legalese, and when you hear those words, they mean something else. For instance, when a judge says to you, do you understand? He's not asking you if you comprehend. He's asking you if you stand under the laws and statutes that he's putting over or in place so he can charge you. This is all about money. But that's a whole other show. We can get into it and chop it up with another show on that subject, because that would take us about a series of 3 or 4 shows. Right now, I'm going to get to the topic at hand and introduce my guest, Dr. Titus McMillan and his wife. I keep scrolling down because I keep forgetting how to pronounce your name. Rikisha. I want to say it right. I don't want to say it wrong. Okay. Rikisha McMillan. Okay. You know, people say, they just say the husband's name and they say his wife. But you're more than that, because you play just as much a role. You know, I want to give you credit. You know, because my wife would get me like, what do you mean? You know. But we're happy to have them. I just want to read their bio. Dr. Titus McMillan has been trained and developed through the process of 40 years of solid research at the Gottman Institute, infused with not only a psychological premise, but also 23 years of theological study and a vast catalog of musical influences. Titus has transformed the concept of marriage and interpretation within the Institute of Marriage, revitalizing the life of worn relationships, helping couples to become one whole person in unity. That's a lot. It's a lot. And it's good, but it's a lot, because so many people talk about the concept of, well, it's got to be 50-50. No, that's a lie. It has to be 100-100.
Yeah.
Because 1 over 1 is 1.
Yeah.
1 over 2 is half.
Yeah.
You know? So I can appreciate the fact that you guys are in the business of helping the total man, not only with nutrition, but with the psychological aspect and with the whole marriage ministry, because if you're married, all those things play a big part.
Absolutely.
If you have one, you know, there's an old nursery rhyme, Jack Sprat could eat no fat and his wife could eat no lean. That relationship didn't work too well. They both eat 2 different diets. You know what I'm saying? So there's a point where there has to be some type of unity and coming together, not only in the level of intimacy, but also in mindset. Because there's a scripture in the Bible that says, how can 2 walk together except they be agreed? So, no, I'm not saying that you and your husband, you and your wife are going to agree on everything. No,
Sure.
That's not going to happen. You're 2 different people with 2 different personalities. However, there should be some type of common union and some type of agreement to where you can separate the apples and oranges and realize, okay, we'll say we have apples and oranges, but at one point we have to say we have a basket of fruit.
Right.
That has all the different flavors.
It's powerful.
And we make it work together.
Yeah.
You see, because if I'm too busy thinking about just my apples and I'm just looking at your oranges, it's never going to work.
Right.
Because if you put the 2 of them in the ground together, you're not going to get an apple-orange tree. They're going to split.
Well, you're going to have some retarded fruit.
Yeah, you really are. The stuff that they selling in the grocery store. The hybrid frankenfruit.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's contaminated. It's got mixed emotions. It's got mental health issues. It's got, phobias. It's got anxiety. It's got depression, and all these other things attached to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with all that in mind, and I didn't even read his whole bio or his wife's whole bio, Rikisha's bio, because they just have a whole lot. They're very qualified in what they're getting ready to talk about. So I want to give the floor to them and open up to what they're going to be talking about today. And a couple of things I want to ask. Just one question that comes to mind first, Rikisha, I'd like to address this to you first as a nutritionist. There's a lot of fad diets right now. Everybody's either on this vegan thing or vegetarian tip, or they're saying they're doing a paleo diet, or they're doing maybe 10, 15 years ago it was popular, it was the Atkins diet. Everybody was doing that, or South Beach, high protein, low carb. what is the absolute right way to eat?
Yeah, that is an excellent question because, as you said, there are thousands of
You know what? You might want to get a little closer.
thousands of diets that people, follow today.
Right.
But when we really get down to the essence of what food is, definition is simple: plants and meat.
Okay.
Everything else outside of that, which is processed food products, doesn't even constitute as food.
Okay.
It has no living substance because it is refined, overly processed. But when we get back to the very basics of food, that is what we are supposed to be eating. Very simple. Not a lot of elaborate thought has to go into that. But I think our food processes have gotten so far off that people are really confused about how to eat today, what to eat today.
Right.
So if we get back to the basics of plant-based and quality grass-fed meats, cold water fish, those are the best things for us to be able to eat.
Well, what you're saying sounds like very sound advice, but I know my vegan community is about jumping the walls right now. Did she say meat? What? Meats? Okay, explain that, because a lot of people are afraid, because like I said, everybody's going for this whole vegan vegetarian notion, and they're really afraid of the meats because we got popular videos such as Forks Over Knives, What the Health, and everybody's watching this and seeing what they're doing to these animals, which is completely atrocious. It really is, because no being on this earth should get that type of treatment, whether it's for food or not. Because if you think of the ancient times when they hunted for food, it was very simple. They went just for, providing sustenance for themselves or their families. It wasn't a marketing scheme to it. So what?
But it was also humane.
It was very humane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what can we do for the people who may be in an area of transition from maybe a vegan lifestyle or maybe thinking they should approach a vegan lifestyle because they watch What the Health and they're scared to death of eating meat anymore? Is there a healthy alternative? Is there hope for a person that says, I still need some type of animal protein?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Because the meat industry has become such a business-based model to where it's all about the money.
Yes.
But there is a way for people to, as my husband said, partake in meat that is humanely raised. And there is an organization called Global Partner of America.
Okay.
And
Global Partner of America.
Yes.
Everybody get that?
You can go to their website, and what they do is they only connect with individuals who raise meat in a humane way.
Okay.
And they use a rating system, much like we have our food that is labeled non-GMO or organic.
Yes.
There's a rating system that is coming out for meat products now.
Okay.
And it's on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest.
Right.
Meaning that the meat has been raised in a pasture, the animals are allowed to go outside, they're allowed to breathe clean air, get the exercise that they need, and it goes down to the different levels. But for individuals that are transitioning that feel that they need meat, there are organizations such as Global Partnership of America to where the meat is humanely raised. And even with local butchers who are in the community that have humane practices, connect with those. And a lot of them are actually listed on the Global Partner website. They will give you a listing within your community of where you can find those different organizations.
Now, what I'm finding out is that a lot of the local farms, 'cause I'm a proponent of local farms myself, even for meats, they have a lot of grass-fed meats, and the chickens are really free range, not just what they say on the label in the big time grocery stores, but they're really free range, and they only slaughter to sell for what is needed. It's not mass production.
That's right.
what about some of the religious-based houses like the halal meat or the kosher meats? What do you think about those?
I'm actually a proponent of those.
Okay.
And the reason why is even with the kosher meats, you can tell the difference.
You can. You really can.
Total difference because it doesn't have all the chemicals in it.
Yes.
It's the way that the animals are raised, and even the rabbis, the priests, I mean, they pray
Okay.
over those
Very
meats. So
big.
they have very
Yeah.
strict spiritual regiments, practices when it
Right.
comes to treating creation.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
solid in their practices. So we're definitely proponents of that.
So
Okay.
can I just add,
Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
I don't want to get too far off it. Do you understand when it says, when they talk about free-range animals and the fact that these animals have a humane way of living? Because what we don't have is the person that says that the psychological ramifications of this cow versus the psychological ramifications of this cow. And nobody has done the research on this stuff.
Okay.
Well, somebody did.
Right.
So that's part of what I've done. It's like a dog. You know when a dog is psychologically unstable based upon the way he was treated.
Yes.
So you get a dog, I'm not even going to use pit bull. Let's just say we get a dog who's been roaming the street. He hasn't necessarily had the best treatment in life, been traced off here. He's got high anxiety levels.
Yes.
He has fear issues. He has abandonment issues. So now let's just deal with that on another level when we're talking to the cow that we're eating. So they go through the slaughterhouses and they're terrified.
Wow.
They have these emotional and psychological issues. And we say, well, they don't have a mind. They don't have the capacity to have. Let me ask you, does your dog have emotion?
Of course.
Does your cat have emotion?
He knows when he's being treated, right? Yeah.
A cow will walk up and recognize the farmer.
Okay.
And so he recognized that farmer as being safe. Now, granted, Charlotte's Web was a cartoon.
Yes.
But did you see how they always portrayed the animals as being treated kind,
Kind, yes.
appreciated,
Yeah.
loved, cared for?
Yeah.
Eventually he had to go to,
Yes.
that's what you were raised for.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, when we go to these mass slaughterhouses, and I got to get back to what my wife said about the priests and the Levites going and handling the meats, they have, it's a way of having them come to grips with what's about to happen in their life.
Right.
We're sorry. We apologize that we are partakers or whatever the case may be. Because again,
Understand.
depending on your blood type, you need meat in your diet to help you psychologically balance your emotions, to balance, all of the working of your immune system. If you don't have some meat running through your body to help that immune system recognize the deficiencies that are happening within the body, it's not enough of that need from the meat to fight off
Okay.
what's going on inside your body. So plant-based diet is excellent,
Okay.
but there's another level to plant-based. Because of the fall, we have to partake in the meat actions.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this, because that's an interesting concept you bring up. Because, like I said, my vegan community, I know they're bashing their heads against the wall right now, and they're having trouble hearing what you're saying
Right.
because the first argument they may present is that our teeth are not carnivorous. So we weren't made to tear flesh. We're only made to chew seeds or fruit and vegetables. And so being as though our teeth aren't carnivorous, our systems weren't made to process flesh.
Okay.
Now, what do you say to that?
So, how do you explain the capacity to bite through something? You know how much pressure in one bite it takes to, let's just say, for instance, I bit my pencil.
Okay.
'Cause, we do a lot of that in
Yeah,
school.
right.
You know how much pressure it takes? A seed is a whole lot less than that.
Wow.
but we need that presence. So someone, and you and I call him Yahweh, understood what was going to happen in the process.
Okay.
And while he made all the plant life, the plant-based, because that's what was designed for our bodies. We were holistic people.
Okay.
But based upon
In the first stage of man's development.
first stage of man's
I got
development.
it.
But because of what goes on in the unseen world, and I know we getting, theological.
Yeah.
The unseen
We
world.
go there next.
The unseen world would love for us to remain in that fallacy of understanding because they know more about our bodies and what we're able to handle and the
Interesting.
capacity that we hold by having misinformation. The scripture talks about my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Of course.
We don't know all the things that pertain to life here on this planet.
Or in the spiritual world.
There you go.
That's very
And
true.
the spiritual realm is more of reality
Then
than
this, this is the illusion. I would,
it's
I
a
would
distraction.
We had a call. I just wanted to let you know. But they
Okay.
So next
Oh.
time they call out.
Please, we'll take
I
questions.
didn't want to interrupt you. So
No,
I
it's
No,
it's
you
fine.
should have
To
interrupted.
call it again. Right
Please,
now.
Yeah.
you know what? Let's give them the number. It's those that want to call in. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to take a few.
Hello,
They're on.
Oh yes, who am I speaking with?
you're speaking to Jerry Petito.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
I'm good, darling. And listen, I'm bored, I'm home, and I'm listening, and I'm pulling my teeth out.
I told you. So what's your deal? What's your question?
All right, now I don't have a question. I have to vent. I have to say something to your guest right now.
Okay.
All right. Hi, what's your name? I'm sorry, because I just tuned
I have
in.
Dr. Titus McMillan and his wife. She's a nutritionist, Rakisha McMillan.
Hi, guys. How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
I'm okay, sweetheart. Okay, so listen. I am a nutritional health coach. I also have many certifications. I've traveled all over the world for the last 25 years through Lennox-Hill Hospital, through other organizations for health. And I also cured 2 cancers on my own many years ago. So I
Awesome.
help drug addicts now. That was the book that I wrote on addiction. That's on the wall there. So I help drug addicts. I help cancer patients. So I only just listened to you for the last 10 minutes, so I'm not sure what you guys said prior to this, but I'm a vegan, and becoming a vegan for me saved my life. I had colon cancer. My body could not process meat or dairy.
Wow.
So I had to become a vegan. And for the longest time, I was preaching that vegan is the way. I'm also good friends with Dr. Joel Furman. And so for many, many years, I always preached, you have to be vegan. You have to eat this way. Now I don't see it so clearly. I don't see it that that's the way it has to be.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'll never, ever believe for 1 minute that meat is needed for everyone.
And
That's
I
what I
I'm
just
sorry.
heard you say, and that's why I'm like screaming.
Well, let
No.
let me define what I was saying. And again, not all persons, if you listen, I said certain blood types, we need meat in our diet to help us. And the way I'm saying this is, we don't necessarily know all that's happening to the body externally, as well as we don't understand all the dimensions of the internal portion of the body. But there are things that happen outside of us. And again, as I stated prior to you, I think you called, well, where you're calling, there are things that are unseen that happen to the body. You might end up going to sleep and you think you're just sleeping, and that's there's more to it. But let's get back to the meat business. Some certain types of blood personality, like I'm O negative. I know I need meat. If I don't get meat in my diet, sometimes I'm lethargic, I'm a little sluggish, I might get moody or, become very impatient. Meat helps to balance out my personality, my body, my moods, my different mental health levels, or, it just balances me.
And I think one of the
Right.
key words that we want to identify is bio-individuality.
That's
what
good.
works for one person
Yes.
does not work
Very
for
good.
another person.
Absolutely.
I've seen it, and I know my
Perfect.
husband has seen it, that there are some people that thrive off of plant-based diets because that is what their body responds to.
Mhm.
There are other individuals that respond very well to a mixture of plant and protein. We are
Absolutely.
definitely proponents of having a more plant-based
Yes.
Sure.
because we believe that that is going to bring the health that an individual needs by incorporating some of that protein in there. And bio-individuality, every person is different, every person
Right.
is unique. And what works again for another person may not work for someone else. So
That's
it's-
very true. You know, Rikisha, I want to address something you said earlier that I think is very, very important, and also the point you just made about bio-individuality. One, for my own personal story, about 3 years ago, I was about 300 pounds. And I went and got a physical, and the doctor said, you are borderline diabetic. So I was at a point where I said, I have to do something drastic because I'm not a person who likes to take conventional medicine because I don't believe in it because I think it's a crock. So I,
And you would be right.
yeah, well, I came up with, I had been a struggling vegetarian before, but I would eat a lot of junk. And so I know that I felt better with the vegetarian approach. So when I got that news, I knew I had to totally change my whole lifestyle. So for me, I went vegan. And that's the approach I'm at now, is vegan, because I feel better with the total plant-based diet. I have more energy. I'm not as lethargic. Meat slows me down, and it also makes me feel heavy, and it also makes me feel a little queasy.
Gut issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have stomach problems when I eat too much meat, so
Yeah.
I cut it out. The first thing I started doing, my own personal story, is I started juicing, and I found out the fruits and vegetables that are proper to combine that would give me a proper detox. I did that first, and that gave me a jump start to my weight loss. And then I started doing more research about how to combine different foods that would give me the energy that I needed, and also that would take away the meat cravings. So that was my own personal bio-individuality. And so people come and say, well, how did you lose the weight? I said, I did what worked for me.
Absolutely.
Now, I can't tell you, to go vegan, because that may not work for you.
Absolutely.
And, a lot of people are looking for that one magic pill, and there is no one magic pill because
It's
everybody's
not.
system is different.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And it's not, and sometimes I think with a lot of the diet fads that we have going on,
Yes.
trying to merge everyone into, okay, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best.
Right.
And again,
Well, all you
that's
gotta do is
why-
write a book.
Absolutely.
And you put it out on Barnes and Noble. It's a New York Times bestseller because, and it's funny because when I was in my weight loss struggle, I found I was looking for different diet books to see what I could pick from each one that would attribute to my comfortability level. Because I wasn't looking for nothing hard. I want to do something. I want to eat what I like, and because they come on with the commercials. I ate everything I wanted, and I lost all the weight. I didn't even do any exercise. I ate like 5 boxes of tasty cakes, and I know that's a lie.
Absolutely.
I found a diet book called The Rice Diet. Now I used to
Yes.
love myself some rice. I would eat bowls of rice like a sumo wrestler. And all that starch was just sticking there. That's probably why I was borderline diabetic, because
Exactly.
all the sugar, the starch was just sticking to me.
But that's the thing. It's the starch.
It's the starch.
then turns into, at one point, turns into alcohol into your body. Which
Yeah.
causes confusion
Yes.
in your blood.
So that's where you start getting the psychological problem.
There you go.
Good.
And so what happens is, well, let's put it this way. They tell me I'm addicted to sugar.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, I was probably addicted to sugar 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Now I just eat as I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But what looks like a lot to you
Yes.
is just, hey, a tasty cake. I love tasty cakes. I like that butterscotch flavor.
Yeah, right, right.
So, and I'll probably eat 6.
Uh-huh.
that day and move on and forget all about sweets because it
And
don't.
you've gotten your craving out the way.
Let me tell you something. I literally drunk a root beer, ate some chocolate, and a bowl of cereal, and drunk 20 sugars in a 24 ounce cup of.
Oh my goodness, man! This is what
And then
you
I
do.
took.
Balls.
I went to sleep.
Oh my God!
I took my blood sugar. You know what it was?
What?
96.
What? See now, do you know what? Do not try this at home.
No, I wouldn't recommend
You know what I'm
it.
saying?
But you gotta understand.
Very unique. Okay, your system is different where you can tolerate.
Because I don't eat a lot of the other things.
Okay, right. The
So-
processed stuff.
I mean, I probably did eat processed stuff.
Yeah.
But I eat once a day.
Okay.
You know,
So you practice intermittent fasting.
No, now I do.
Okay.
I do now.
Okay.
It's and that's another thing we need to talk about.
Right.
Because even with the plant-based stuff, you gotta fast off of some of that stuff.
You do. You do.
Because
Well, too much of anything is bad for you.
Well, you still got pesticides in it.
Hey. Too much of plants is not bad for you guys.
No, not too much plants.
I'm gonna tell you something, honey. I need to help him. He is addicted to sugar.
No, I was. Now I'm not as bad. I don't go through
He's
the cycle.
improved.
You know,
Oh, so you heard it from the wife.
He's improved.
what
He's
she'll
improved.
tell you. No, let me tell you.
I'm gonna get other calls, but I'm gonna be watching the show. It was a pleasure.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Jared.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye, honey.
So, and my wife is probably why I took off probably 25, 30 pounds.
Okay.
Because I wasn't eating. Listen, and I love to cook. I know how to cook. And, you know, my children don't let her cook the lamb no more.
Okay.
I got to cook
You gotta
the
cook
lamb,
that,
You know,
okay.
because they, getting in it.
Yeah.
But at the same token, see, one thing about food, if your mental is right, what you convey to that food as you're cooking
I'm
determines
glad you
what
went
the
there.
body receives. Because it is a holistic harmony
really is.
between the chef
Yes.
and presentation.
Yes.
That food is dead,
Right.
but you bring
life to it.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
there's a few things I want to bring up because I'm a chef by trade myself. And I know that, first of all, people eat with their eyes.
Yes.
So it plays a psychological effect on their
Exactly.
mind. Color plays a big part.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does.
The way the plate, and even they use color psychology in the marketing
Yep.
of food businesses.
Absolutely.
McDonald's is big for red and yellow because
Absolutely.
it targets your appetite.
Absolutely.
It targets your hypothalamus gland that says, "I'm hungry. I want that cheeseburger."
But it's
I'm-
an intimacy thing.
It's oh my God, that thing looks so good. You almost fall in love with it because you're looking at it, and it's playing on your emotions.
Yes.
Now, one thing you said that really stuck out to me is that, and I've heard this from a couple other holistic doctors, is that food creates a spirit,
Absolutely.
and it does. And I want to go back to something you said earlier about how that animal was slaughtered, whether it was humane or inhumane. One thing I've learned is that if the animal is slaughtered in an inhumane fashion, there is uric acid that's created.
Comes right out of his body.
Yes,
As a defense.
as a defense, and it goes into the meat and it's toxic.
right.
And if you eat that meat,
You're
you're eating
now-
the emotion
Interesting.
So
of that animal.
and what you have is psychological
Yes.
transference.
Now you can get into what you were talking
That's
about,
right.
that whole spiritual realm,
Yeah.
where people are eating and then having psychological diseases
Yeah.
based on the diet.
Well, one of the things that happens is, first of all, we need food. It's a substance.
Of course.
So the way in which, I'm not even going to do that one either. But what happens is anything that has life has the ability to transfer an inheritance.
Of course.
So again, the priest prays over the food,
Yes.
the livestock. He blesses it. It's blessed. Because at the end of it, he gives thanks to the Creator.
Yes, that's good.
Father, this is the best gift that I could give to you. I don't want to present to you Cain's offering, but I want to bring to you Abel's offering.
Got it.
In bringing Abel's offering, I made sure that before I interacted with that meat or that particular livestock, I made sure my life was clean.
You know, something funny you said that because I've also heard that one thing America has it twisted because we eat in a rush. And since eating is really a spiritual experience,
It is.
you
Yes,
should
it
almost be in a meditative state
Absolutely.
when you're eating. And you know, but there's so much grab and go. Like eat this, take a bite, rush. Your body does not have time to process it properly. And I would like you to talk on that a little bit.
Absolutely. And my first experience with eating mindfully,
Now, mind you, she eats like 3 minutes,
Okay. Okay.
but she's very intimate with it.
Okay.
it came from when I was stationed in Korea.
Okay. Oh, you used to be in the military.
Yeah, I'm retired from the Air Force.
Okay.
Retired Air Force.
You know, I didn't even notice that. My father's retired from the Air Force, so
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Happy birthday to your father. Too,
Thank you,
man.
thank you. He's appreciating that, and thankful he's here yet with me in his old age. But Air Force, we're going to Korea.
The first experience, my chief took me out to lunch at a traditional Korean restaurant.
Okay.
We walk in, take off our shoes, and I noticed immediately just a peace in the
Wow.
atmosphere. Totally different from an American style restaurant.
Wow.
No hustle, no bustle. It was a spiritual practice. The
Yeah.
way that the whole table was set up, every dish, the way the tea was arranged, even the way that they crushed the leaves in the cup for the tea, totally transformed my thinking when it came down to
Interesting.
eating in a meditative state.
Yes.
And anytime you went into a traditional Korean restaurant, that is the way that they had a respect for food. They had a respect for eating mindfully. Whereas,
Is that why they can sit and eat an 8-course meal and they don't gain no weight?
Exactly.
and also what they eat.
Okay.
Because on the table, it was all vegetables, it was fish, it
Okay.
was things that were healthy.
Yes.
Whereas when you get to an American style
All
diet,
bacon and pig belly you
Baby
can
back
get. Yeah,
ribs,
you know.
glistening fat.
And you know it's going to be thrown at you. It's not going to be an intimate setting.
you're
You're
not
going to come
eating
rush
it in a
in.
meditative state.
No.
Everybody's trying to rush to get the first piece.
God.
You know, so it really,
That's very true.
really transformed my thinking because in America we're always in a rush with fast food. And
And we don't sit down as a family anymore.
no. And even
Which
if you
is
think,
another.
That is another.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a tragedy.
And one of the things that I talk about in my book when it comes down to eating as a spiritual practice, whenever
Yes.
you see the word eating
Yeah, one of the
throughout
books
the
here.
scriptures,
We're going to talk about your book so
eating
people can
throughout
know
the
where to get it.
scriptures, it talks about them sitting around at a table
Yes.
and eating together,
Okay.
breaking bread together,
Yes.
conversating, enjoying the meal, praying over it, blessing it. And even if you think about our ultimate meal that we will have
Mm-hmm.
at the Last Supper or the banquet feast,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it is a spiritual practice. It's always ongoing when it comes down to our eating. But it's something we have totally gotten away from.
You know, it's funny because eating is more spiritual than what people recognize.
Yes, it is.
And I have a blog that I do on Facebook called Brotherhood of Faithful Husbands.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I talk about is that if you are, you know, you have a spouse, one of the most dangerous things you can do is go to dinner or lunch with another female outside of your
Don't
marriage.
start nothing. I'm dealing
You
with
see what I'm
married
saying?
couples with that right now.
Right, because
Oh,
eating is
yes.
such an intimate setting
practice.
that when
yes.
people eat, they let their hair down.
Absolutely.
You notice it in when they have board meetings, when people go on first dates, anything where we need to converse and bring out more detail about each
Yes.
other's feelings. Food is
Vulnerability.
involved.
It's so true.
Vulnerability.
See,
Yes.
and that's the issue, and it's amazing that you brought up, because again, the full time side as I deal with families, couples,
Yes.
marriages. And what I'm always telling the man is, you had an affair. And sex had nothing to do with it.
It had nothing to do with it.
See, what men don't realize is psychologically, for the female, you're having intimate reactions with her. And she's in the of copulating mentally.
Mentally. Well, it starts
So-
in the mind first.
Exactly. Nobody goes to bed with a woman and hadn't had sex with her before they
Already.
got, the pants off.
Yeah.
We saw you walking down the street. I didn't do that to my wife, but there's a reason why I didn't do it to my wife. But at the end of the day, I know I can walk down the street and look at a woman and she got nice hips, lips, and fingertips. But what she doesn't have is the conscious code
Right.
to my manuscript.
She was built for you.
She was.
Okay.
And
That's good.
what I can tell you about our intimacy is, with I'm raw. My wife, she think I'm crazy, but I'm just raw.
Right.
Making love is probably a 2 or 3 hour process for us. Because first is connecting before interacting. You got to prepare that sanctuary. And as you go into the sanctuary, before you get to the holies of holy, you got to know that there is presence.
We gotta do another show.
Well,
This is good.
but see what as a master alternative I got false teeth, man. So
Hey, listen, bro. Make it work.
I'm just
It's all right.
Alternative psychology is the threat to traditional psychology.
Yes.
Because we get to talk about the realities of spirit, soul, and body.
Yeah. Totally.
You will never listen. But my wife is pregnant every day.
Because she's carrying your vision.
Well, she's carrying my vision, but she's also carrying some of my foolishness. Because what we do, at times I don't like her, and I'm sure at times she don't like me. So I told you I'm wrong.
That's the way it is. That's the real issue.
But you know what keeps us together? And she's coming along gradually. You know what keeps us together? I say anything and everything I want to say behind closed doors. But I will never uncover her in the street.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Because if I do that, then I put her out there as a prostitute.
There you go.
A wounded prostitute. Because I have now raped her brain
Wow. Wow.
to what the average translation of man is, and he's savage.
Yeah.
But what I say behind closed doors, if you go back and think about it, I'm trying to protect our wealth. I'm trying to protect
course.
the assets.
Right.
I'm trying to keep the enemy outside of the paradigm God has put in the kabod. That's a Hebrew word for Eden.
Yeah, I know.
So at the end of the day, and my wife, she's not confrontational. She is now, because she hit me a few times with a couple of things. But she's not
That's good.
confrontational. But I had to provoke that stuff in her, because I need you to understand. I don't tolerate a lot of foolishness.
Okay.
But Titus, you go here, you'll serve, you do this, you do this. We actually went to Bon Jovi's restaurant yesterday.
Okay.
We were invited by.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And no cost to us. But man, I cried in a heartbeat to them before myself together. The veterans that came. It was just. It's just. I'm a people person anyway.
Right.
I'm always on my job.
Of course.
Yeah.
The guy said, I had no idea. I just needed to hug him. I was like, "Can I hug you, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you for your service." The guy said, I think he got shook a little. He said, "I said, please forgive me. I didn't mean to." He said, "No, man, you made my day."
Wow.
And then there was another World War II soldier from Vietnam. I just thanked him for his service, and I sat there. We laughed. My daughters were with us, and he was fascinated with Journey.
Sure.
And he wanted, and Journey's she knows who she can go to, and she knows that I ain't.
Right.
But this particular app, they were shaking hands, And what has to happen? I told him, I said, listen, we'll be back. We're not coming to eat. We're coming to work.
Okay.
because it's a 501c3 program.
Sure.
He ain't making money. But when you tap into the PTSD,
Right.
which is pre-tolerance, stress disorder,
Sort of, right.
I was forced to have a prerequisition. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's probably more than I just made up. To tolerate the rejection of individuals I've never met and don't know why I'm killing.
Wow.
And if you think the internal man doesn't understand, it's the same kind of consciousness Muhammad Ali had. We're in war. And the war really ain't between me and you, because you black and I'm white.
No.
The
Right.
war is based upon they got what I want, you're enlisted, and you have direct orders.
Yes.
We've actually sanctioned you.
Legalized game.
But it's not only legalized, it's a transition from death to death. Because at the end of the day, I'm coming to kill you.
Wow.
And it's
Crazy.
ordained
Right.
and sanctioned.
Right.
So my thing, and a whole lot of this stuff is coming to the forefront. I know we're talking about, you know, the holistic side of food, but we also talking about family relationships too.
Of course.
So my point is, just touching that one individual with a smile,
Makes a difference. Yeah.
it heals something inside of him.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't want to go because I was like, okay, we got to wrap this. It's cold outside.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but there was something driving me. And as we got closer, I sat there and I looked at the vision on the wall. I was like,
Wow.
and so I just went in my pocket. I was like,
Okay.
they said, no, you're a veteran. I was like, you're right. So let me pay the way for another veteran.
Yeah.
You know,
Pay it forward.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know, and we coming back to work.
Yeah.
You know,
That's great.
yeah.
That's really good. So, you know, I love all of this is because people will probably say, oh, you got like 5 different subjects. All of them work together.
Absolutely.
And there's so much to the psychology of food nowadays. And we mentioned it briefly. One, that, you know, families don't sit down to eat anymore together. Everything is grab and go. Everything is fast food. It's not intimate setting. Everybody eats in shifts. You know, I can even talk about my own household. We, you know, everybody has a different taste of food. I'm a vegan. My wife eats, you know, certain meats and, you know, vegetables and stuff. I have my middle daughter who's vegetarian but still eats fish and dairy. My youngest daughter, she's picky, so she only eats certain things. My son is just a meat eater. That's all he wants, chicken wings. And my oldest daughter, she eat whatever tastes good. So, you know, when I was coming up, even though I'm an only child, it was whatever mom fixed.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That was what was on your plate. You didn't have a choice, you know, about, well, I don't want that tonight. You know, it doesn't matter. It's whatever she got on sale at the grocery store.
There you go.
And another thing I want to talk about too is the transition of food manufacturing. People are so quick to want to hold on to old traditional ways of eating, and we can't eat that way anymore. Because in the beginning, you mentioned that diet should be very simple, plant-based, and wholesome meats. Okay, or wholesome protein,
Yeah.
for that matter. Everything else outside of that is all processed and is not meant for our body to process. I got so now when I go to the grocery store, if anything has more than 5 ingredients on a package, I don't even buy it. Because it's stuff that wasn't meant for our bodies to process.
That's right.
So, you know, you're thinking about the people say, well, I can eat like this. My grandpa lived to be 96 and he ate ribs and ham hocks every day. Okay, but he also was eating organically farmed food
There you go.
Correct.
back
So
then that
Very
wasn't
different.
processed.
Right. And so what you're really saying is
Very different.
they had a humane way
Yes,
of talking to their livestock,
yes.
which
'Cause they had it
trans
on their property.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then the psychological ramifications of what I was eating was somebody I touched.
Mhm.
I raised these.
Yeah.
We this is family.
You knew what they were raising them for.
Yeah,
And you know, grandma cooked it.
exactly.
See, it was coming out of your house. It wasn't, you know, the supermarket is a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
something that has been in place for the
It's
last 100 years.
capitalism.
It is capitalism,
Yeah.
and it's only been in place for maybe probably the past 50, 60 years. Because everything
Yeah.
we bought as far as meals, we either grew our own vegetables,
There you go.
grew our own fruits and vegetables. Most of us had trees in the back of our yard with, that had fruit. And fruit that was produced was only produced for the season that it came out.
Yep.
You didn't get watermelon in December. Come on, that's just not even right.
But those are not even watermelons.
They're not even of course they're not. They're
Those are
hybrid,
genetically
modified. Yes,
replicas.
yes, watermelon.
Yes, because you don't even
Same
get,
thing with bananas. When I was a little boy, bananas had seeds.
Yeah,
They don't have seeds anymore.
Yes.
Now they took one banana and they remanufactured
Yep.
the same banana you eating
Yep.
from 20 years ago.
and I'll give you a prime example of what you're talking about. My wife said to me yesterday, because my whole thing is, I don't like to be duped when it comes to spending money.
Right.
Because,
I get that.
yeah, because I don't understand to have organic fruit. I got to pay $97,
Right.
and I could just have this next thing that looks just like this, and it's a thing,
Yeah.
look just like this, taste just like it.
Uh-huh.
It just bleeds more.
Right. Right.
But she said that it's right next to each other. It's the same, just the same. And I said, no, it ain't, no, it ain't. But when I got to that store and I seen the organic and I seen the regular,
Uh-huh.
I thought about my children. They're worth that extra $3. I'm getting this.
Yeah.
Because they are in essence, what they're doing. They're having intimate relationships with the transference. And I had to hear the voice of
Yeah.
God in her
Yeah.
saying the inheritance of what you leave your children. Because we always talk about the inheritance as being monetary.
No,
But
it's
it's
not.
much more
It's an
than
investment.
Well, let me put it to you this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I know we got to go. As you talk about your sons and your daughters,
Mm-hmm.
what you really was saying, my intimacy level is increasing because I'm aware of how much time we let slip away.
Right.
And so because of that, I don't want my inheritance to be that
course
I
not.
leave to my children.
Right.
So my journey, what we do is, Taylor is very talkative and active.
Okay.
So Keisha gets bombarded with that, and I have to tell Taylor, come on back to me. You're a bit much. But Journey, she loves her dearly. What happens is, it's that daddy thing. The iPad ain't working. Daddy!
Right.
Hot dog. That means she want her Mickey Mouse hot dog song. And she don't want to watch nothing else. You
Okay.
give her that. No, I don't want the little iPad. I want the
big one.
daddy iPad.
Yeah.
So what she said was, I trust what daddy's saying.
Uh-huh. There you
Because
go.
I have more fun
Uh-huh.
and freedom what daddy's saying. Where Keisha, she might not be on the, because she called it.
Uh-huh.
Mama. Me, it don't bother me. It's just
Okay.
like, okay, what's up? All right, give me a second. Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Because it's the inheritance we're leaving to our
Got
children. It's relational.
Well, you know what the verse says: a good man leaves inheritance to his children's
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
So you're not just setting them up; you're setting their posterity up.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it has to continue. You think about rich families that have set this up. They talk about old money.
Oh, yeah.
Their great grandchildren
Generations.
don't have to.
Mhm.
You know.
Generational wealth.
And we talk about work. You got to eat this and that. The richest people in the world don't work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember Dick Gregory used to say it all the time. The richest people in the world don't work.
Mhm.
So we have to find a way where we establish inheritance, not only just in a monetary
Yeah.
form,
Yes.
but in lifestyle, the
Yes.
food that we eat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and you know, you almost have to take it on a mentality of saying, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm too uppity, but you want to eat like kings and queens. We want to eat quality food.
But you're supposed to be up
You should be.
because you are a king.
Right.
You
We
are.
want to eat quality food. We
Yeah.
want to put quality food in our systems because this is a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And even in our Christian faith, we are temples.
Of course we are.
Temples. And in other religions, they hold that to a high
Very high standard.
level.
Yeah.
To where we don't even treat our bodies as
Oh,
though
see,
they
now
are
you-
living temples.
that's a whole nother show,
What we're
'cause I have a
putting in,
problem
how
with
we
that.
treat, how we
Yeah.
take care of the temple.
Yeah.
We totally
Because
negate it.
most people in a traditional church setting have more food-related diseases.
Yes, indeed.
But that's the curse.
Yes,
And like you
indeed.
said, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Because if we understand the dynamic of intimacy,
Right.
intimacy is spiritual. It is
It's
not.
definitely spiritual. It has nothing to do with physical.
There's nothing physical about it.
No.
God asks us to be intimate with Him. Now, you never heard anybody say, "I was making love to God," besides the lady that was on, you know, she was, you know. Have you ever had
No.
anybody?
Because it's spiritual.
But I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mhm.
If He made it available for you, do you think He got something out?
Okay.
He made it for you. Yes, it was to also have children, but He knew what it was before you had children. So we
Interesting.
don't take time to actually uncover the intimacy of God
Mm-hmm.
because we don't see that.
Well, you know, one thing, it has to be seen within ourselves. We have to start thinking.
Yeah.
Stop thinking that God is so far
Untouchable.
away or
Yeah.
untouchable.
Yeah.
Because one of the greatest secrets of revelation of the Spirit is that He placed Himself within.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's where going back to meditation and eating in a meditative state,
Yes.
everything has to come from within.
Got to come from within.
You know, one quote I like to say a lot is that if you don't learn to live from within, you will always live without.
That's good.
You know, and so it comes from the mind development and mind transformation being made over, and you know, rethinking the whole process of food. This has been more than interesting. This is only chapter one
Yeah. Yeah.
of about a 20-part series. Because I when we do come back and have you guys back, which is guaranteed, y'all coming back. It's going to be definitely part of the show. I want to talk some more about the manufacturing of food and what we can do to avoid the things that are dangerous. You know, do we just shop at farmers markets? Do we avoid the grocery store altogether, or is it just certain things that we should buy, and then just start maybe prepare to grow our own food? And the other thing I want to talk, have you bring up on the next show, is also the psychological aspects of the chemicals in food that play on the emotionalism that have created these other diseases such as bipolarism and ADHD and manic depressive. You know, all those play a role
Absolutely.